When you think of Halloween, what are some of the first things that pop into your head when thinking about the famous celebration? Probably glowing orange pumpkins with faces carved in them, bucket loads of candies and sweets, ghosts, ghouls, zombies, and Michael Jackson's Thriller. They are some of the most popular symbols and images that have been attached to the 31st of October. Over the centuries that have passed, this holiday has become a staple in the calendar and a growing pop culture phenomenon. You don't have to look far to see people of many age groups and walks of life embracing the festivities of this unique day. Did you know that one quarter of all the candy sold annually in the United States of America is purchased for Halloween? Not only that, but Americans spent nearly $500 million on costumes for their pets in 2021, more than double what they spent in 2010. From your local schools to shopping malls, children, adults, and especially celebrities all dedicate their time and efforts to get dressed up in the strangest of costumes, all in the name of Halloween. Often, people will dress up either as a dark character from a form of media that has had a huge cultural impact on our society. We see the manifestation of this with examples like people getting into the costumes of Jason, Michael Myers, and Ghostface from the Scream film. There are also some light-hearted examples of people and children dressed up as friendly and less sinister characters. These include Shrek and Fiona, Barbie and Ken, and some bacon and egg on the side. But have you ever stopped to actually consider where this holiday originated from? And why is it actually celebrated? If you are as curious as I am, then come with me as we explore the dark truth about Halloween and see if it really is just a playful and innocent reason to indulge in an abundance of candy, costumes, cobweb decorations, and disguises. Or is there something more to it than what meets the eye? Born in 6090 AD, the Bishop of Rome, Pope Gregory III, is an important figure when we look back on the origins of Halloween. This is because he was responsible for moving the holiday of All Saints' Day from May the 13th to November the 1st in the year 741, followed by All Souls' Day on November the 2nd. To celebrate this day, people would have feasts in remembrance of the dead saints, sharing in food, wine, and company. When Pope Gregory the Fourth rose to power, he demanded that the feast of All Saints' Day on November 1st should be celebrated universally. The night before the feast was considered a vigil. A vigil is defined as a period of keeping awake during the time usually spent asleep, especially to keep watch or pray. This vigil before All Saints' Day was called All Hallows' Eve. This is where the name Halloween is derived from. Hallow means holy person or saint. Hallows' Eve, Halloween. All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day are also known and referred to as the Day of the Dead. Some say that these days of the dead were recognized and observed first in France, later spreading throughout to the rest of Europe. All Saints' Day is celebrated in France to this day and is a national public holiday. Are you guys still with me? I know that was a lot to unpack, but I had to do that in order for us to build the foundation for how we got here today. Halloween is deeply rooted in ancient pagan traditions. A pagan is basically seen as a person who practices a religion outside of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. This is traditionally what the word means. These were people who often worshipped nature, idols, and the material world and other spiritual forces. The 31st of October and November the 1st is the changing of seasons, the transition from summer to winter. The tradition is inspired by Celtic and Gaelic mythology. The Celtic people celebrated a day called Samhain, pronounced So-win, but spelled Samhain. It was an established Druid tradition in the British Isles before the Roman invasion. They would celebrate this day by lighting bonfires and wearing costumes to ward off ghosts. During this feast, the Druids communicated with their ancestors, hoping to be guided in this life toward immortality. An interesting fact about the Druids is that the name Hollywood is derived from the term holly tree or holy wood, a sacred symbol to ancient Druids, witches, and wizards who used its branches to craft wands to cast spells on the population within the society. So make what you will of that information. We can clearly see a huge correlation between Halloween and Hollywood. If you take a look around at most of the costumes that are worn on this day, a large majority of them are inspired by Hollywood characters and figures. Let's talk about why costumes are so significant to Halloween. In the 14th and 15th centuries, costumes were added to the celebrations in All Saints' Day in France, which in time have trickled into Halloween. As I mentioned earlier, the wearing of costumes was to ward off ghosts. This is because the changing of seasons from bright, warm weather to dark, cold weather was associated often with death and darkness in ancient times. Crops and harvests would fail and die off due to the cold weather and lack of sunlight. These harsh conditions often contributed to famine, starvation, disease, and the loss of life. It has also been said that these European civilizations also believed that on the eve of All Saints' Day and during the transition of seasons on the 31st of October, the veil between the living world and the spirit world is at its thinnest. This is where the tradition of wearing costumes comes from. While it is said by some that people wore them to scare off ghosts, others have interpreted that the wearing of these dark and scary costumes is so that the spirits that were coming through to the earth would feel welcomed and celebrated and at ease, like ghosts, ghouls, undead witches, and zombies. I hope you know what you're getting yourself into when celebrating Halloween now.